Record. Fantastic. We're recording. We're live on Facebook, and we've got a good group of people joining us. So thank you. Thanks for joining. Say hello. Tell us where you're from. Hey, Carol, Austin, Tony, Jersey. Terry, sorry, not Tony. Judy in Wisconsin, London, and outer space. I know it feels like that some days, mate. Kimberly also in Austin, sunny Florida. Delray Beach, Florida. Queens, New York, Brooklyn. I love Brooklyn, Sid. I spent a couple of trips over there and I stayed in Brooklyn. I have a friend or an acquaintance who lives in Bushwick, and I really enjoyed staying in Brooklyn. Hey, Debbie, you're out and about at the moment. Debbie, for those of you that don't know Debbie, she is a photographer and she's currently walking the Pacific Crest Trail. And right now she's in California. Hey, Debbie, great that you can join us. James from Vancouver. Brooklyn is always in the house. Thanks, Sid. Okay, Palm Bay, right. South Carolina, Dennis has joined us on Facebook. Thank you, Dennis. Okay, now, of course, we're on the wrong page. That's not very helpful. Let's start with the right page. Let's start right at the beginning. Now, I know this is really an important issue to artists, and I know that a lot of the time we really feel like we suck, okay? I'm going to use a little bit of language today, so I'm going to apologize for it straight up. It's just the way I am. Being Australian, I try to talk straight, and sometimes that includes a little bit of language. I'll tone it down as much as I possibly can, but I'm trying to be me, which is one of the important messages that I'm going to get through to you today. As an artist, the only way to sell, the only way to build your audience is to be yourself, okay? But there's a few things that come to that. So we're going to talk about that. So today's webinar is about how not to suck at marketing your art or your photography, okay? As a photographer myself, I consider myself an artist. I don't paint, I collect light, I collect scenery, moments in time through my camera. To me, it's still art. So I'm not going to differentiate between the two. It doesn't matter what you do as an artist, whether you're a painter, you're a photographer, you do drawings, you're a sculptor, it's all the same when it comes to how you market. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. So let's talk about the 4 things that I'm going to focus on today. Number 1, it's not your art that sucks. Okay. And I really mean that. And I'll talk about that. It's not your website that sucks. And for a lot of people, I understand the frustration. You spent thousands of dollars, you've got this great new website, and it's not selling art, okay? But it's not the website that sucks. Why artists and photographers suck at marketing? I really want to delve into that. And then how you can not suck at marketing, okay? So let's just jump in. Now, I want anybody who hasn't thought this to tell me in the chat, because I honestly think that there'll be lots of people that put their hand up to this, right? You spend all this money, you've got yourself a shining new website, it looks amazing, and you're expecting people to just buy stuff the next day, next week, all of a sudden you've got money coming in, all right? Now, anybody who thinks that they didn't do that, put their hand up. Now, I can tell you straight up, I did. I thought this was going to happen. I built a website. I spent all this time agonizing over the website. I launched with only 7 products. Okay. This is back in 2013. I launched with 7 products and I thought I'm going to start making money next week. That first year I sold 2 prints. Now those 2 prints were sold to a good friend of mine who is still a customer today and purchased their most recent piece only, 3 or 4 months ago. But they were my first customer in my first year. And they didn't come through online sales. They came through the relationship they had with me. They'd seen on my website, obviously, because I promoted it to them, and they'd seen my Facebook, and that's how they bought. Okay. But they weren't someone random off the street. Year 2 was when I sold to someone random, someone new. And as I've grown my business, I've really come to understand the naivety that I had back in those days. And, you know, these days with my consulting business that I run, I hear this every week. I see this in the chat groups, the Facebook groups that I'm in. People really frustrated that they've invested money and nothing's happened. And, you know, they're both right and wrong. I think that when we look at what has happened, we're looking at the wrong thing. So we're thinking about money. Obviously, it's great if you can earn money straight away from your website. The reality is that doesn't usually happen for most people. So instead of earning money from your website, what we need to do is build our relationships, build our profile, and the money will follow. So we're going to go into that, and I'm going to talk about that. But I honestly think that a lot of people are starting from this place, which makes it really hard. When you're starting from a place where you thought you spent thousands of dollars, you've built this brand new website, you've agonized over it, you've got it up and running, and all of a sudden you start telling everybody about it, but nobody's buying. And I know a lot of people are in that place and have been in that place, and it's frustrating, and I get that. So we're going to talk about that. Okay. So let's jump in to the first one. It's not your art that sucks. Now, for 99% of artists, it's not your art that sucks. Okay. Your art is fine. And you don't need, and this is a really, really interesting point. And I've seen it so many times, it's not funny. You don't need to be an amazing artist to sell or even to make a living from your art, right? And in fact, there are some brilliant artists out there that are just mind-bogglingly good at their art, can't sell a thing, okay? I think you can be, and I'm not saying that you're a mediocre artist, but I think you can honestly be a mediocre artist and make 6 figures and be a brilliant artist and struggle to sell a painting a year, okay? So there's absolutely a misconception there about what it takes to sell art, and it isn't being a brilliant artist, right? It isn't being a brilliant marketer either. So we'll delve into that, but I think that the key is don't doubt your art, okay? Now, if you're still doubting yourself, this is the simple test to know whether your art sucks, right? And, you know, again, this is framed around timing. If you just launched yourself this week, then you probably don't have a result on this. But the easy way to understand whether your art possibly does suck is, have you sold your art to someone who is not a good friend or not related to you? And if the answer is yes, you have sold to someone who isn't family or isn't a close friend, then your art doesn't suck. You just haven't found your people yet. And that's a really, really important factor in this process. You need to find your people. You need to find your tribe. And as an artist, it's probably the most important thing. Okay. So we're going to walk through some of that in a little while. Now, going back. So then you say, okay, well, my art doesn't suck. My website sucks. Okay. I can almost guarantee you that your prices aren't too high. And in fact, for most of you, your prices are probably too low, not too high. It's a really funny thing about art is often people won't buy art if it's too cheap, because they don't perceive it as having an intrinsic value if it's too cheap, and therefore they don't buy it. It's a weird concept, but it is certainly part of selling art, okay? Your website is just fine. Don't procrastinate. Don't strive for perfection, okay? It will never be perfect. So just launch it, move on. And if there are things that you need to continue to update on your website, put them on your to-do list, but do not stop them. Stop yourself from launching, okay? Launching is really, really important, and getting your art out there is really, really important. So get it to 80% and move on, okay? You'll never get to 100%. I can guarantee you. I never ever had any of my websites at 100%. It just doesn't work, okay? Now, those bells and whistles, they're tools that help you, but they're not essential. So don't think that you have to have all of the bells and whistles working, right? Do the things, the basic things. What you need on a website is two things, really, is your art and an easy way for people to buy it. Right? They need to be able to pay without you having to send them invoices or interact or do anything that way. They just need to be able to find it and go, I love that. I choose it in this size, this medium, and press pay, enter their credit card details, and it gets shipped to them. All right. If you can do that on your website, then everything else is a bell and whistle. So don't get stuck on those things. Now, this is a really interesting point. And I heard it talked about in a webinar, a session last week, Patrick from Art Storefronts. And I know some of you have done this, and I certainly looked at it in the past. And there's something, one of the things that I do when I work with a new client is I check their website. And I don't go into the details and I don't go into the fine print of your website. But what I'm looking for is, if I'm a customer, is it easy to buy? So what I do for every one of my clients is I go into their store, I click on a random product and I try and purchase it. Okay, I go through the steps. So I add it to my cart, I customize it along the way, add it to a cart, then I go to the cart and try and use the discount coupon, enter my email address, do all of that. I don't put my credit card details in, obviously, but I do most of the steps that a new customer would do. One of the things that's really interesting, and Patrick mentioned it last week in his thing, was if you go into a gallery, 99% of the galleries that you walk into, a physical gallery, they're just white walls. They're plain and simple, so the art pops, okay? White walls is really neutral. It helps your art pop no matter what. Now, a lot of people get fancy with their websites. They want gray, they want black, they want white, they want other things, right? One thing I notice with my clients is if you decide that you want a black background on your website, that may look really cool for showing off your art, and you may think that works. Try going to the checkout and try and buying it. Often a black website is really, really hard to buy on because sometimes the fonts don't work and you end up with the writing for the details of the fonts in black instead of white, so that you can't see them. And instead of looking at this screen where you've got dark gray and white and everything pops off the screen, you've got dark gray, or black and dark gray, and things disappear. So if you're in doubt with your website, try and look at it from a customer's point of view. Forget the artist, just try and buy something, right? And see what happens. And if it doesn't work, then fix it. White background websites, simplest way to go. But at the end of the day, the key you need with a website is for people to be able to find your art, choose your art, and buy it. Okay, everything else is bells and whistles. So don't worry about the bells and whistles. Worry about, is it functional? Can someone enter their credit card details, pay by PayPal, whatever it is that they want to do, make it as simple as possible. And the thing that I don't know whether you guys have noticed this, but certainly I have in the last 12 months, because of COVID, I'm going to the shops less, right? So I'm spending a lot more money online. The websites that don't allow me to, if I'm using my computer, I can use Apple Pay or Google Pay on my computer, right? I don't have to enter any details. It automatically comes up and it's bang, it's done. The lowest friction websites are the best ones. And every time I go to a website where they want me to enter my shipping address and my mailing address and all of these other things before I even get to the payment, it's annoying. Whereas if I can just go bang, take that. And, it's one of the reasons I use PayPal as a buyer, is because it really does, it takes care of everything. It enters all my details automatically. I don't have to enter the details again. Just click pay. It goes to the card that I prefer to pay with, and it's done. Okay. So make sure from your website point of view, it's as low friction as possible, but forget the bells and whistles. Can someone easily buy? That's all that matters. Okay. Now, artists, photographers, doesn't matter what we are, we really suck at marketing for these reasons. And there's probably another 20 I could have written down, but these are the ones that I hear all the time. Number one, we're the best procrastinators ever. We will want to research something, we will want to test something, we will want to ask questions, we will want to do everything but actually do it, right? Stop procrastinating and just do it, right? This frustrates the hell out of me. Stop asking questions see what happens, right? Just do it. Okay. Really, really, really important. And artists really, really suck at this. They procrastinate for so long, they don't actually do anything at all. Okay. Forget procrastinating, just take action. Okay. If you make a mistake, learn from the mistake. But if you're doing nothing, then you learn nothing. Okay. I'm really passionate about this. It gets me angry because people get stuck in this. Okay. Artists strive for perfection, and this is related to the procrastination, but they get to the point and they go, this isn't perfect, right? Go back to what I just said about your website. Can I choose your art? Can I buy your art? Can I enter my details easily? If the answer to that is yes, then move on, right? People get stuck. They want things to be perfect, so they do nothing. Stop doing it. Okay. Now, this is the other reason we really suck at marketing is we love shiny new things. We see something new, we want to try it, right? We see something new tomorrow. Forget about what we learned today or what we decided we're going to do today. We see something new tomorrow. We're going to start with that, right? So we start with all these new things and we go bang, 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 bang. We're doing 100 things. We're not actually doing anything that matters. Okay. And this is probably one of the biggest things artists get stuck on. They're just like, oh my God, there's all these things. I've got to go grab. And they forget about doing the basics. Okay. And I'm really going to talk about those basics later. But if you do nothing else in your week, as an artist, right? Post on Facebook every day and send an email to your audience. If you do nothing else but that, you're going to be ahead of almost every other artist in the world, okay, let alone in your market. Post on Facebook every day and send an email to your audience. That's it, okay? Everything else is a shiny new thing. Yes, you can try the shiny new things, but try one a month. Don't try one a day, okay? If you want to do something new that's cool and everybody's talking about it, whether it's Clubhouse, whether it's doing a Facebook Live, whatever it is, that's cool. I got no problem with that. But first, let's start with the basics. Do the things you have to do and then pick one shiny new thing. Okay. Now, this is the other thing that artists get stuck on is they don't want to be doing this. They don't want to be sitting in front of the computer. They want to be painting. They want to be drawing. As a landscape photographer, I want to be out shooting sunrise, right? So we don't want to be sitting in front of the computer. So if we're going to sit in front of the computer, what do we do that makes a difference to our art, to our business, right? Do those things first. Focus on the things that really matter. And if you've got some spare time, if you've got an hour spare, learn something new, try something new. But if you haven't got spare time, don't do the new shit, do the thing that matters, right? And the things that matter is your daily post on Facebook and your weekly email, right? Don't get distracted. If you don't send that weekly email, then you can forget about having money in your bank account, okay? Because that weekly email is the most important task you can do, full stop. So if you're not doing that, forget about everything else. You might as well just give up, pack it up, go home, because you're wasting your time. If you can't send that email, nothing else matters, okay? Now, this is another one, and I heard this talked about earlier. We're really shy. And sometimes we don't like putting ourselves out there. And I know that there are gregarious artists out there that love being in front of the camera and all of that. But the majority of artists are introverts. They like to be, behind the easel, behind the camera. In my case, we don't like standing in front of people and talking, right? But the reality is the only way for people to invest in your art is for them to invest in you because they like you. Right? They want to get to know you. They want to fall in love with you and your art. And the only way that happens is if you put yourself out there. Okay. You need to be yourself. Now, I said at the beginning of this, I was going to swear a little bit, right? Because that's me. Okay. And if you're not a sweary person, then don't swear, right? Do the thing that you feel most comfortable with and be passionate about it, because your passion comes through in your conversations and the things that you do. So do the things you're comfortable with and share with people the things that really matter. Okay. And this is the last one. And I think that this is the other one where, often people get to the procrastination point because of this. They look at the list of things that people tell them that they have to do. And the list is 100 things long. So because there's 100 things on the list, we're going to do no things on the list. So let's take the 100 things off the list, okay? We have a list of things we have to do. And what are the things we have to do? Post on Facebook and send an email. They're the two things you have to do. Then go to the list of 100 other things and try one, right? That's how you're going to get past that. There's too much to do, okay? It is really hard when you look at a list. And if you've got a daily to-do list that's got 100 items on it, then you're going to struggle. If you've got a daily to-do list that has 2 items on that, then do it, right? That simple. Okay. So how do you not suck at marketing? Now, I've talked about some of this, but I really mean these are the things that really make a difference. Okay. Number one, you have to be yourself, right? If you are really passionate about something that's completely unrelated to your art, but it's part of your personal story, then you need to share that, right? Share it in a way that works. And you don't have to be, really deep and meaningful, but you need to have people understand what you're passionate about, because they need to fall in love with you, not just your art. They need to fall in love with you and your art. And the only way you can do that is when you're real. Okay. So next, be consistent. You have to do the things every day, every week, every month. Doing something really busily for a week or 2 weeks and then stopping because it didn't work isn't going to help you. It's doing it every single day for a month, then for 6 months, then for a year, you're going to see the results. If you give up after doing something for a week or 2 weeks and it's not working, then it's not going to work. Full stop. You're right. It's not going to work, right? Time is one of the most important factors in any marketing. Time, and when it comes to artists, those relationships that you build between you, your art, and the potential customer are critical to building a business, right? Again, if you don't want to build a business, you don't have to worry about that. But if you're trying to build a business, you need to focus on building relationships with the individuals and connecting them to your art, okay? Being patient, right? Now, this is the one that artists are really good at not doing, okay? You're not going to get results tomorrow, full stop. Don't expect them. You're not going to get results next month. Don't expect them. You're going to get results in your first 6 to 12 months. It may take longer. It depends on how hard you work. It depends on how real you are. It depends on how consistent you are. If you do something for a month and give up, don't expect results in 6 months. It's not going to happen, right? You have to put in the effort every day, every week, every month, every year for those results to bring returns to you and your business, okay? So be patient. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Be realistic too. So let's just say last year you sold 2 pieces, you earned $5,000. So for this year, what's your goal? To me, the simple goal is I want to sell 5 pieces, go from 2 to 5, right? That's it's more than double. And from $5,000 to $10,000, right? That's a realistic goal in my expectation, all right? If you don't get to $10,000, let's say you get to 8, that's better than aiming for 5, trying to get what you got last year and getting, only getting the 5. You've got 8. Next year, what are you going to do? Let's take that 8 and turn it into 16. Now, obviously, as your business grows, sometimes it's going to be really hard to then, double that money. And we're in the process of trying to double the business this year. And I don't think I'm going to hit that target, which was 200 grand. But I'm going to aim for the 200 grand. And if I miss it, maybe I'll get to 170, 180. That's great. 180 grand in art sales is awesome, right? Next year, I can't double that. There's no way I'm going to go from 180 to 360. But maybe what I'm going to do is aim for $250,000. Okay. So you need to be realistic in your goals. Set goals that you can achieve. But at the same time, if you don't set them up here and make them high, then you're not going to achieve. You're making them too easy. I'd rather have a goal that's really high and just miss it than set a really low bar and hit it. Okay. Set it high, but achievable. Okay. Start with simple steps. Be yourself. You don't have to look like you're a marketing team. Okay. The best and most effective emails that I've ever sent out are the ones that look like I've just scratched into my inbox. I've just gone into Gmail and I've sent an email and said, hey, Tom, listen, I was out this morning. I got this beautiful sunrise. I wanted to share it with you. Right? One sentence, two sentences, and a picture. They're the best results I ever get. I don't do it all the time because I don't want to wear it out. But you need to be seen as a real person, as someone that's passionate about things, and as an artist. Okay. So the more real you can be about yourself, you don't have to look professional. You need to be professional, but you don't have to look like you're a professional. Okay. So just start with the basics. Be yourself and share your story. Okay. So spending money, right? Now, for those of you who've been with me on these many times before, you'll have seen this before, but I honestly think that this is a lot of time where people get stuck. Okay. They're spending money on marketing or they're spending money in the wrong spot. All I can tell you is what I don't do. Okay. This is what I believe is the best place to spend your money. Okay. I don't pay for likes. I don't pay for engagement. I don't pay for traffic. Right. And in fact, I think it's a really good waste of money. I don't boost. Right. And in fact, for most people, boosting a post is equivalent to donating to Facebook. Okay. I don't spend my money on that. The one thing that I spend the majority of my marketing dollars on, and this is in my business, right? This is not what I'm doing for other clients. This is what I'm spending in my business to grow my business. Almost all of my money goes into growing my email list. Okay. Because the email list is where I'm generating my income from. As I grow my email list, I grow my business, full stop. Now, this is my businesses that I run. I run 2 art businesses online. Almost all of my marketing dollars go into growing my email list. Okay. That's just how important I believe it is. And this is where I focus all of my money. Okay. Well, not all of my money, because we're at a point now where we're able to do something that's called remarketing, and we're doing some other things which are all about moving people through the sales funnel. But we've got a business that's generating substantial income already, so we're able to do that. But if you're starting from scratch and you're starting from a really low audience base, you're starting from a really low Facebook following, really low Instagram following, don't invest your money in growing those followings, right? 2 reasons. One, you don't own those followings. Now, let me be specific on that. In the last 18 months, I've seen a lot of people lose their online followings, right? Because Facebook's banned them for some random reason, right? And that can happen anytime. It may not be something you did. It may be because of political circumstances. It can be really, really, really random. So don't think it's anything that you do wrong, right? But Facebook can ban your page, ban your Instagram account, right? So if you spent, let's say you spent $1,000 growing your Instagram account to 10,000 people. And then for some reason, Instagram bans you. You don't get that $1,000 back, nor do you get those 10,000 people. That's just a fact of life. If you spend $1,000 growing your email list, right, and Facebook banned you, you still own the email list. You can still communicate with those people directly because you have their email addresses. If you decide that you're working, let's say like I am on art storefronts, if you're deciding that you've had enough of art storefronts and you want to move to another platform, you export all of your customer data and you take it with you. You export your entire email list and you take it with you, right? In Facebook or Instagram, that doesn't happen. So if you invest your money in growing your followings on those platforms, you're investing your money in them, not in you. Okay. You don't own that. You're renting the space only. Okay. You own your email list and you own it forever. for whatever you're creating and selling your art, that email list is yours. Okay. Now, I've been ignoring the comments in the chat. There's a lot going on in the chat, and I'm going to come to that in a little while, but I just want to get through a couple more things before I come back to the chat. Wow, we're 30 minutes in. It doesn't feel like I've even taken a breath. Okay, so this is the marketing strategy that I use. Okay, and this is the marketing strategy that we use for our clients. It's really simple. Build your email list. Right now, if you've got an email list of 50 people, then obviously you're not going to sell much. If you've got an email of 5,000, then you're going to sell a lot more than someone who's got an email list of 50 people, right? But having the email list is only step one. And this is an important thing. Again, it's like the comment we had at the beginning of this about the website. Just because you've got a shiny new website doesn't mean you're going to sell stuff, right? Same with the email list. Just because you got an email list of people, that doesn't mean you're going to sell to them tomorrow. You need for them to get to know you. And that's why the relationships, building your relationships with your audience is critical. And, you know, a little while ago, I said that if you do nothing else in your week except send your email to your email list, you will be in a much better position than most other artists because you've sent an email to that email list and you've started building relationships. Okay. Now I saw a comment about that. I'm sort of flicking across to the right-hand screen. I've got two screens, and there was a comment about what if people aren't, you know, opening my emails? What if people aren't engaging? People aren't replying? Then my thing is that maybe you're not being yourself. Maybe you're not engaging people and telling them the stories that they want to hear from you. So try something different. Okay. There is no one size fits all when it comes to building relationships with the audience. The only thing that I can tell you that's really important to building relationships with your audience is to be yourself. Okay. Be real and be yourself, because that's the thing that gets people investing in you and your art, is when you're yourself. Okay. You can't be me. You can't be some other artist that you think is amazing. You can only be yourself. So do that. So when you build your email list and you build your relationships with the people on your email list and your followers, but the followers are secondary. Okay. Never put the followers first. It's the email list that's the most important thing. Build your relationships with your email list, build the relationships with your followers after that. When you do that, then you're going to build your business. And that is the critical plan. It sounds too simple, but honestly, the email list and then the relationships are the only two things that matter in building an online business. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly scroll through because I'm going to interrupt for a second, just have a look at these questions because I know there's been a lot of questions here. So let's give me a moment. Okay. Yep. Overthinking. Yeah, absolutely. Artists are just really good at overthinking. Judy, the answer is you've just got to keep experimenting, keep trying different things. I try including person's first name in an email in the subject line. So, hey, Steve, did you see this? Really simple. No capitalization, no punctuation even, as if I'm just sending an email to a friend. Hey, Steve, did you see this? Hey, Bob, did you see this? Right? Because what you're trying to do is, I don't know about you guys, but the first thing I do in my email in the morning, right, is I go in and open my email up, and I on my phone, there's I don't even know what it's called because I just do it automatically. So I click on my email. So I use an iPhone, right? And I click edit, right? And then I go through and mark all of the marketing emails, right? And then mark them as read. I don't even open them, right? And I'm sure I'm not the only person that does that. So if you send an email to someone that looks like a marketing email, they're probably not going to open it. But if you send an email to someone that looks like you just sent an email to a friend, more chance of someone opening it. So experiment, okay? It's not about catchy subject lines. It's about connecting with people, right? There's no silver bullet. There's no special formula. There's no thing that's going to work for you guaranteed. The only thing that's going to work for you guaranteed is to be yourself. Okay. And then you have to put the most important ingredient into that, which is time. Okay. Be yourself, give yourself time. That simple. Okay. Yeah, Hammer, it's going to decline. That's okay. It's not, don't worry about it as being discouraging. Just worry about it. Just accept it as fact and focus on making an impact by telling good stories. Okay. Connecting with people. If you get 2 replies from an email that you sent out this week, and you had 0 replies last week, to me, that 2 replies is a better indication of that your email is connecting than what your open rates are. And honestly, I don't look at my open rates most of the time. What I care about is how many replies I get in my inbox. And there are days when I dread sending an email out to 15,000 people, because then I have 50 emails that I need to reply to. But that's a great problem to have. Okay. Replying to 50 emails is a pain in the bum, but this is the thing, exactly what I need to be doing is engaging with the audience. So it's the only thing that matters. Okay. So just deal with that. Yeah, well, London, you need to grow your list. It's that simple. Okay. Let's keep going. Anything else? Yeah, consistency is really, really important. Susan, you're right. People need to get to know you. You need to be consistent in a lot of things. And, even the one thing that I'm really consistent with is I've seen the email at exactly the same time every week. Okay, so I don't just send an email out once a week. I send an email out at 9:45 a.m. on Monday morning, every Monday morning, right? And the reason I do 9:45 a.m. is because a lot of people get to work at 8, 9 o'clock. And the first thing they do is clear their inbox out and get rid of all of the crap that's in their inbox. So if your email is sitting in their inbox over the weekend, probably gets cleared out Monday morning. 9:45, I'm hoping that they've cleared their inbox out. They're sitting there with a second cup of coffee and they're flicking through things that they want to do, and they see my email. So that's why I send at that time, right? But that's not going to work for everybody. So just experiment and see what works for your audience, and experiment with different times. Try a different time for a few weeks and see if that helps improve your open rates, right? It's experimentation, but experiment with one thing at a time. Don't experiment with 100 things, one thing at a time. Okay. Because otherwise you don't know what's working. Okay. Right. Yeah, Zen, I think you're right. When you're working full time, you've only got so much time that you can put into your art business. But as long as you spend time every week on growing your art business, then there's going to be an opportunity to grow. You've just got to be consistent. Try and be consistent, and also tell the story to people. Make sure they understand that you have a full-time day job and your dream is to become a full-time artist. Okay, and help take them along on that journey. And I certainly did that when I began. Tell that story and continue that process. Camilla, I can see you've got a really detailed comment there. Can you just shoot that to me in an email and we'll discuss that offline, because I don't think that I can answer that in the webinar. All right, let's I don't understand your question, London. You've said, what do you mean breaking up Facebook? I don't know. Yeah, Tom, I'm slowing down. It's okay. Yeah, Camilla, I think that if people are replying and they're people that you know in person, that you're on the right track. I would not stress about that. Just go with it. Okay. Just give it time. Right. Okay. I think we're good. So sorry to hear that, Daniel, but the webinar will be live in the saved in the Facebook group for you to come back to at any time. Okay. So we're going to build our email lists. We're going to build our relationships, and then we're in a position to build our business. So how do we build an email list? All right. Simplest way to do it is to run a monthly giveaway. Okay. Simple. Giveaway print. You don't need to give away $100 print or $500 print or $1,000 print. $50 to $100 print is plenty. Okay. Just find something that you retail for 50 or 100 bucks, even if something you've got in stock, and try it. I've actually had the best possible results I've ever had from a giveaway with a $30 calendar. So the prize value doesn't make a difference. It's the interest in the prize that makes a difference. Okay. And then the thing that makes a difference with this, especially if you have no audience, is running ads. Okay. To people who've never heard of you before, but it may be interested in your art. The thing with that is that I'm going to tell you unequivocally, and art storefronts are really adamant about this. Don't run ads if you don't know what you're doing. And 99% of people don't know what they're doing with Facebook ads. It is a black hole. Okay. Don't do it without some help, because you will waste money. Personally, I wasted thousands of dollars on Facebook trying to work it out. Right. I've now spent tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, on Facebook ads. Okay. It is a difficult place to interact. So don't do it without some help. Okay. The relationships thing, and we talked about this before, but I just want to talk about it again. Relationships is the only thing that matters. But when you're dealing with relationships online, it takes a lot longer. Now, if we were standing in the same room having a conversation, we would be able to pick up on, body language, hand movements, facial expressions, all of those things. It's really easy to build a connection with someone in a few minutes when you're standing face to face. Now, having a one-on-one Zoom with someone is a good alternative to that, but it's still not the same, all right? But when you start doing Facebook posts and emails, then the effectiveness of those may be 1,000th of 5 minutes of someone standing in front of someone, right? So that means you need to do those actions a lot more before you're in a position to build a relationship. So again, those relationships are not going to happen overnight. You get someone on your email list today, the good chance is they're not ready to buy for another year. Okay, now if you accept that as fact, then you're going to be in a much more comfortable position that if you accept someone, and I see this post in art storefronts in the small wins group all the time. I ran a giveaway last week. I got 30 new names, but nobody bought anything. All right. And that's exactly what I expect to happen. People will not buy from you until they trust you. Right. And they're not going to trust you just because you decided to give away one $50 print. They're going to trust you because they get to know you. They're going to trust you because they built a relationship with you. They know a little bit about you and your life. They know your dog's name. They know where you love to go to explore and the things that you're passionate about. That's how people buy stuff from you. And if you're not building relationships, it doesn't matter what else you're doing, you're wasting your time. Okay? Relationships is all that matters. So if you're building relationships, then you can build sales. You need to take time. You need to give things the time to action. Okay? But if you do it, it will help. So, there's two examples here, and these examples are actually fairly old. I think they're probably 12 months old as far as timing is concerned. But when I started first working with Andy, his email list was 500. Now, when I last looked at this stat, it was over 3,000, right? In less than a year.'s doubled his revenue. Rick, same thing. 3 times the traffic, email list from 400 to 5,500. I think Rick's email list is over 10,000 now. It was 5 times income of the previous year, growing that email list, focusing on that email list. Okay. I'm just quickly looking to see if there's still anything here. Okay. Yeah, Debbie, those replies from your welcome letter and from your newsletter, honestly, they're the things that really matter, because that's the connections, that's the building of the relationship thing. So those replies to me matter far more than the statistics. How many people opened, how many people clicked, how many people replied, right? And compare that not to my statistics, compare that to yourself. How many people replied to last week's email? How many people replied to the one before that? If the number's going up, do more. If the number's going down, go back to the one that got the most replies and have a look at it and see what happened. See what you said. See if you did something really interesting that got people replying. Asking a question is a great way to get people to reply. We did one, must have been April this year, where we had 2 images. We were stuck which image to put on the cover of one of the calendars. So we asked. Hundreds of replies, hundreds of interactions, right? On Facebook, we ran a survey and we had people just replying to the email. Really, really cool way. And the other thing which I love I find this is really easy as a photographer, but it works as if you're a painter as well, is if you paint a new piece, right, and you've shared the journey of that new piece, or you've captured a new piece as a photographer and you shared the story of that piece, but you're stuck for a name, ask your audience, right? And what I do with that is I say, listen, what I'm going to do is I don't know the name. This is the story behind the image. For the person whose suggestion I choose, I'll give you the #1 artist proof, right? And I usually do a copy paper size proof that I use to make sure that my color is everything right and all of that stuff for me. And so I give that away to the person who helped named it. It's a really, really simple way to engage with your audience. It costs you practically nothing. It costs you no more than doing something that you would probably be doing anyway. But it's a really great way to get engagement from your audience and get their buy-in. If people are suggesting a name for an artwork, do you think they're more engaged in that artwork than something that they haven't had any clue about and haven't had any engagement with? It makes a difference. Artist proof. So London, as a photographer, when I've captured an image, I send a file to my printer to check that it's right. That's my proof, right? And people call that an artist proof. It's the same if you're reproducing an artwork, you get a proof, right? The #1 is the first one. That's all. Giving that away is really important. Okay. James, that's a really interesting question. Okay, so James's question is, be yourself. How do you balance that with the art storefronts? Just copy and paste this text in your email because we studied it works. Okay. Yes, a lot of their stuff does work. And the really cool one at the moment, and it's an automated email. Let me just find it so that I can, so there's an automated email that goes out when you can set it up to go out 30 minutes after someone signs up for your email list. Okay. And they've got the basics in there, but you can change it to be yourself. Now, in this case, so most of you know this, I run a gallery, I run the business for my friend Natalie. That koala painting on the wall is hers, right? So Natalie paints Australian wildlife. I run her entire business as far as online sales are concerned. So all the emails that people get sent come from me, not from Natalie. So we need to explain that as early as possible, because we don't want people thinking that they're emailing Natalie when they're talking to me. We try and be really open about the fact that they're talking to me, and we call me the print gallery manager. Okay. So the first email they get after signing up for the email list from our email is this. And I'll just read it out to you, because I think that this is a really good way of taking a standard email and then customizing it. So it just says, hey, Christine, and obviously that's personalized. Hey, Christine, John here. I manage Nat's online art gallery. Just wanted to send you a quick note of thanks for joining Nat's mailing list. We absolutely love learning about her followers. Do you mind me asking, and this is the standardized bit, but we've customized it. Do you mind me asking what it is about Nat's artwork that brings you enjoyment or makes you feel a connection to it? Thank you so much for your feedback. We really think you will enjoy the occasional emails updates we send out that dig into the stories and the processes behind Nat's work. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help with anything. You can contact me right here, and it's got my details and contact details. So that is very much a template email, but I've customized it to suit our situation. So you can do that with any of those templatized emails and make them your own. Okay. And I think that that's the really key to that, is start with the custom and go, oh, but I don't like that word. Well, if you don't like that word, change it. Okay. Because it's the story that matters. But on a week-to-week basis, you know, for me personally, I send probably 45, 46 weeks of the year. The emails that I send out are purely romance. They're not trying to sell. It's about telling stories and engaging with the audience. And then for the rest of those emails, you know, weeks of the year, maybe 6, 8 weeks of the year tops, we're really selling, right? And we're pushing the sales point of view. So the weekly emails that they get aren't about selling. They're all about relationships and telling stories. And I don't even use sales language in those. And if I do include a link to a product in a store, generally I don't say you can buy it here. I just say, click here to see it in our online store or in our online gallery. Okay. It's all about getting your language right. I really think that makes a difference. Okay. So let's keep going because I'm going to run out of time. We've got 9 minutes left. Okay. So this is really important when it comes to time, right? Because a lot of people struggle with time. They want to spend less time marketing. They want to spend more time doing, right? So Facebook Creator Studio is a really cool tool. It's free. It's like Hootsuite or Later. There's a bunch of paid apps out there, but Facebook Creator Studio is built into Facebook. It's free and allows you to schedule up to a month in advance for either Instagram or Facebook, right? Really simple. While we're on that subject, I do not, I'll say it again, I do not recommend that you go into your Instagram account and post a post and share to Facebook. 2 reasons. One, for 99% of artists, I honestly believe that Facebook is your primary audience. You may have a bigger audience on Instagram, but if you look at those people on Instagram that are following you, a good portion of those are going to be fellow artists or fellow photographers, not necessarily buyers, right? So that's number one. So you're marketing to the wrong audience. But number two, and this is the really important thing, if you share a post on Facebook, you can easily share within that post a link directly to that product. Okay, so people can go straight from Facebook to your online gallery, to your online store. Instagram, you can do that once you get to 10,000 people and you link an online, you link an Instagram store and you do a bunch of other things. But the reality is for most people on Instagram, you can't share a link directly to a product in your store. So if you post an Instagram post, put 30 hashtags on it and then share that to Facebook, you're wasting that Facebook post. Right? Instead of putting 30 hashtags on that Facebook post, just put the link to that product in the store. Right? So I do not recommend that you share from Instagram to Facebook. You do them separately and you target them slightly differently. Right? You can still use the same language. You can still use the same image, but with the Facebook post, include the link. With the Instagram post, include the 30 hashtags. Really simple. Okay. Right. I don't think there's any millennials in this group, London. I'm definitely a Gen X, and I think most people in this group are either Gen Xers or they're baby boomers. So I certainly there's no millennials that are engaging with you. So where are we at? Free tools. So that. Now, the other free tool, which I think is really important, and I mentioned this earlier, is my Facebook group. If you're not already a member of my Facebook group, join the Facebook group. And I've shared the link at the beginning. I'll share it again now. The Facebook group is where I post all of these webinars. So if you want to go back and watch a webinar again, or you want to catch one that you missed, they're all in the Facebook group. You have to be a member to see those videos, but you can join those. You can join the Facebook group and then you can see all of the past webinars. And if you want to rewatch something, they're there. Okay. So we're coming to the end and I don't see any any outstanding questions. I'm looking at the engagement about the baby boomer and millennial stuff. Sorry. Right. So finally, in summary, what do you need to get started to run your online business? Obviously, you need a website that people can purchase from, but you control, right? And that's really important. So if you're on Fine Art America, you don't know who your customers are. If you're on Shopify, Art Storefronts, WordPress, Squarespace, whatever it is, you know who your customers are. And that's really, really important. If you're on Fine Art America, it's exactly the same as being in a gallery. The gallery controls the relationship with the customer, not you. Okay. You want to control the relationship with the customer. You need a CRM, which is a customer relationship management software. So a simple one is Mailchimp, right? Mailchimp's free for your first 2,000 contacts. So it's easy. Okay. And you need a Facebook business page, because if you're going to advertise on Facebook, you need to have a business page. That's all. That's all you need to get started. For those of you who don't know, we run a 90-day audience builder program. The price is $999 US. But if you're on Art Storefronts, it's $799. So you save $200 up front. Everybody who joins up in September also saves another $200 because you get a free one-on-one session with me where we talk about issues specific to you. 1 hour just talking about you and your business. So I'm going to share these links in the Zoom, and I will follow up with an email. I don't see any I don't see any outstanding questions. I'm curious as to what FUQ is, but I will Urban Dictionary that later, guys. So if there's no outstanding questions, it's right on time. Follow-up question. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Susan. Okay, no follow-up questions. Okay. Mary Carroll, MC. Honestly, no, don't waste your money. I was looking at something the other day because someone who recommended to me Klaviyo, and I currently pay $150 US a month for 15,000 contacts on Mailchimp. And I thought that was expensive. To do the same thing on Klaviyo was nearly $400 US a month. So no, I think that Mailchimp is definitely enough for 99% of people. You don't want to automate too much, right? Because it's the relationships that count. So you want to have some automated emails in the system. There's no question about that, but you can do those really easily in Mailchimp. You don't need something more complicated. Okay. And don't forget, if you're using Art Storefronts as your website basis, and Squarespace and a lot of other website platforms already have a reasonably powerful CRM built into them, right? So you can automate some emails that come out of your website, and you can automate some that come out of your CRM. You don't need to be spending big bucks on a CRM. I just think it's a waste of money. And a lot of those CRMs, you need a third party to help you set them up because they're that complicated. Just keep it simple. Okay. This is a really interesting point, and for those of you that aren't on Art Storefronts, then this isn't going to matter to you. But for Camilla's asked, do you use Mailchimp or Art Storefronts to manage your contacts? The short answer to that is Mailchimp. Simple reason: Art Storefronts can allow an email to be entered 2 times, 3 times, 100 times, right? And can create 100 different records. On Mailchimp, an email address can only ever go in there once, and every other time after that is just a new interaction. So Mailchimp is going to be a more accurate tool when it comes to engaging with your audience. So use that. Absolutely. Okay. Courtney, no. So Courtney asked the question, would it be a waste to run a cold giveaway right now? I can tell you right now, I'm spending $500 a month growing my email list. And what are we in? September. So October, November, December, busiest months of the year for sales. I will continue to spend $500 a month growing my email list. In addition, I will spend another couple of $100 a month on advertising for sales, right? Now, a lot of people aren't in the position to do the advertising for sales, but I don't think there is a bad time to grow your email list. Continue to grow your email list no matter what. I'm doing it year round, okay? And I have been doing it year round for a few years now. 3 years, maybe longer, okay? Just do it. Sorry, MC, I don't send contracts, but I just signed contracts the other day, and what was it called? Let me have a look. No. I can't remember, MC. Send me an email. If you don't have my email address, I'm going to send it right now. Send me an email and I'll follow that up. But yeah, there are some platforms out there for sending contracts online and having them signed, all that sort of stuff. But off the top of my head, I've forgotten. But remind me, send me an email and I'll follow it up with you. Yeah, DocuSign. That was the one I was going to say, Susan. Thank you. So MC, DocuSign, really cool online platform. That works for signing contracts. I'm selling a house at the moment and I signed all the contracts to sell a house using DocuSign. Really easy. Okay, thanks for your time, guys. I really appreciate you joining me today. I hope you got some value out of it. And I will follow up with an email. And of course, for those of you who aren't already in it, the Facebook group, the replay will be there. I'll catch you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.